Hello and welcome to Biz, your work life sorted. I'm Em Burnham.
And I'm Lisa Lee. I'm a former head of people and culture and organisational coach and the founder of Learner, a micro-learning app that helps you build the people skills to solve real work problems fast.
Now, she's so accomplished. Look at her go.
All the time. Now, today we're talking about something that sounds so simple, but is actually really tricky. And it's becoming the manager of your old team.
It's one of those moments where like one day you're just laughing with the girls, laughing with your colleagues, and the next day they might be laughing at you.
Oh, yeah. It's always awkward and you can't escape it, right? But you can make it a bit easier. Because the kicker is that a lot of people get promoted because they were good at their job, but it doesn't mean they're always ready to lead.
Yeah. So this is for anyone who is either about to go into a leadership position or has just found themselves in a leadership position and thought, why is this so bloody hard? In this episode, we are going to unpack why the transition can feel so bumpy, how to set expectations without feeling like you're becoming a micromanager, and why asking good questions is way more useful than pretending to have all of the answers.
For sure. Being a great team member and being a great leader are two totally different skill sets, and we don't talk enough about how awkward it can be. It's a weird phase. I think we've both been there, haven't we, Em? So we'll get into what actually helps. The number one thing I hear from new leaders is that no one tells you how to do this. Like you're always looking at your boss or your manager going, I could totally do that, right?
Yeah.
And you step into that role, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
It's so true. I actually have a story where when I became a leader, for the first time, no one, yeah, exactly what you said. Like, no one really tells you about like the little things. Like, they tell you about like your new JD and what you have to do and the expectations from you, but they don't tell you about like all the kind of personal stuff. And I remember so specifically one instance where because like all the meeting rooms were glass, so you could see into them.
Yeah.
And my team was in the meeting room and I was walking into the meeting and they were all giggling and laughing and having a good time. And the minute I stepped in, they just went quiet.
Like, was it about me?
I didn't think it was about me, but it just felt like I was in that position where I was like, oh, I can't banter with the girls anymore.
Not at all. Yeah, that feels really hard, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
it's a total shift that you have to make. And I think the more that you know about it beforehand, the better that transition can be as you go into it.
What do we have to do to actually help that transition?
Well, you don't want to be stuck in that awkward divide, right, of being like wanting to be the cool, approachable boss, but then also flipping one day the next and, you know, being the micromanager and having to make those hard decisions. That's like whiplash for your team. So something I like to do and encourage like every new manager to do is have this kind of reset combo. That's not about laying down the law. That's really awkward, isn't it? It's more about acknowledging that things have changed and inviting your team into that shift with you. Because if you don't acknowledge the change, it becomes almost like the elephant in the room. It's like, oh, Em's got her boss lady pants on now. Like, what are we doing today? Or Em's my best friend the next day. So in order to do that, it might sound something like, hey, Em, we've worked side by side before and now I'm stepping into a new role. I know that can feel a bit different and I want us to figure out how to make this work together. Even opening with that, it puts them at ease and it puts you at ease rather than just pretending the whole time that you've got your shit together. The other thing you can do is like practically just go, we're not pretending that the past didn't happen. Like we were team members, but we're also not stuck there. So you might want to just grab a one-on-one with them, even just 15 to 20 minutes to say like, hey, here's what's changing. Here's what I want to keep the same. And what do you need from me now too as your manager?
Yeah, that's so good because it also, you're bringing them into the conversation. Like it's not just you setting the agenda, setting the rules, but you're also welcoming them in because more often than not, you will have had history as co-workers and have built up and they probably know so much about you and you know so much about them, like who you hate in the company, who you love in the company.
Yes.
And then you just suddenly have to like have this new role, which brings us to our next point, which is now that you suddenly become a leader, how do you actually set expectations as a leader? Because I feel like you could go the two extremes where you could still try to be that friend to that person and want to gossip and do all the stuff, or you could turn into a full micromanager and suddenly have this whole new personality that you're bringing to the front table, like scaring everyone off.
So that first step that we talked about, right, you have to name that shift first, because if you go into any of these other things that we're about to talk about next and you haven't named the shift, it all feels really forced. And people can't just be expected to fill in the blanks, right?
Yes.
So you've got to give something people really solid to work with in that reset convo that you can both refer back to. And it doesn't have to be super formal or perfect, but just really clear, because clarity goes a long way in building trust.
Yeah.
So once we have that and you're in the role, you're going to want to set those expectations. And this is the part where people really struggle, because they go, I don't want to be seen as forceful or like a micromanager, and I want to be nice and everything. But in not being clear, that's when things get muddy. So that's where a lot of people then get tripped up. And I hear this from people every week. They go, oh, I've got to give this person feedback. It's going to be so hard. And I'm like, did you tell them what you wanted in the first place? Like, not really. I'm like, well, if you did, you probably wouldn't be having to give feedback. So setting expectations isn't about controlling people. It's more about giving them a target they can actually hit. So here's a couple of good one-liners for you. Here's what good looks like in this project, and here's how I'll support you to get there. Or something like, I don't expect you to read my mind. Let's be really clear on who's doing what and by when.
Yeah,
It doesn't feel icky, right? And like, one of the most helpful things you can do as a new manager is talk about your working style. And we've talked about this in the past, Em. Like, what you value, what frustrates you, how you communicate, and then share it with each other. Because you might have been working alongside each other and never had a need to share those things. But now that you're their manager, you really do. And then you've got something that is an anchor point, I guess, to refer back to, that's not personal, but it's just part of how we agreed to work together.
And I have a question.
Yeah.
So when you enter this leadership position and you set expectations and stuff like that, do you have to change your mindset on how you see the people you are now managing? Because I feel like it's so hard to go from like, these could be my best friends, especially that lovely person who said that her friendship had never been the same. Is this just one of those like side effects that come with being a leader?
Yeah, well, I guess the biggest shift is, and we were talking about this through identity shift, right, was that normally before you get promoted, you're really good at doing a certain thing. And then you get promoted and your role is not to do that thing anymore. Your role is to help the people in your team be really good. And so, yeah, you're right. It is a total mindset shift around like what success looks like in that role and what your part in that is.
Yeah, I feel like I would just need so much therapy, because I would be like, it will feel like you are a completely new person, that you're bringing a new self to your work.
Yeah, it does. And I'm like, we're talking about something like you can just like flip it, right? I wish I knew this stuff when I went in to be a manager, because I wouldn't have caused pain and heartache for myself and, Belinda, Will, Marcus, we can name them all if you want, that had to experience me as a first-time manager for the first 2 years.
To get personal, what do you feel like your biggest mistake was when you became a leader for the first time?
Oh, I needed to talk about and think about a lot about letting go, because you know how I was talking about, you get really good at doing a certain job and then you get promoted.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I would do is try to stay across everything, and I'm talking like I would reformat their PowerPoint docs at like 10 o'clock at night, because I'm like, not quite right. I'll just fix this, right? And that is like a classic case to like lead you to either like burnout or them not trusting you as well, or just going, well, I won't do it because I know you're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest ones. Like I was going, I know how to do this. I'll just do it myself because it'll be so much quicker. That is one of the biggest things I hear coming out of new managers' mouths, and it was definitely one of the biggest mistakes I made.
Oh, I feel like I relate so much to that. And I feel like that comes into that episode, exactly what you're saying, when we were talking about our different styles of working, which we'll link in the show notes if you haven't listened to already. But I remember when I first became, the first and only time I became a manager, I remember my mum had a dinner with me the day before, and she just told me anyone can be a manager, but not everyone can be a leader, and you need to be a leader. And that hit really hard. And I think bringing back to the point of that identity shift, I wasn't willing to have that identity shift. And I really missed my friends. And more than that, I knew what it was like to not have a good manager. And I didn't want to be that for someone else. So the thing I would say is that there are so many roles, and you can still elevate your career without having to take a leadership or management position. Like it is harder. Like a lot of companies traditionally do want you to keep going. And we have talked about before how management can be a full-time job alongside your other full-time job.
Yeah.
And I found out about this about myself like a year into being a manager that it actually wasn't right for me. And I
Mm.
didn't want to not be the right manager for someone. And I didn't want to jeopardize someone's career because of how I approached management. And I wouldn't say it took a hit to my career, but it definitely slowed down the pace. But I think it was the best decision is to not be a manager.
100%. And this is why when we were talking about in that episode around getting promoted, you have to actually think about, do I want this role? And am I suited to this role, like my strengths suited to this role?
Yeah.
Or am I going for it just because it seems like the most obvious choice in front of me? And for so many people, the manager role is the most obvious choice, and it has been when we've followed traditional career paths. I don't like traditional career paths. We can go into a whole discussion about that. But you're right. Being a manager is something that you need to accept because there is a lot of different skills that come with it. And they're great skills, and it's really enjoyable as well. Like some of my most rewarding years through my career so far have been managing people when I actually started to hit my stride.
Oh,
And we're
so good.
great friends now, and mentors and help each other. But you have to accept it and want it as well. And I think
That's so true.
the trap we were talking about before, you're asking
Yeah.
about one of the mistakes I made, is that, if you're still doing all the work and trying to lead, you're not actually leading. And that's what you were saying. Like you're just doing two jobs badly.
Yeah.
No one wants to do that. You don't want
No.
that for yourself,
Yeah.
and your team certainly doesn't want that. So letting go means picking up all these different skills like delegation, feedback, coaching, actually sitting with the discomfort of not having your fingerprints on every detail. And that was something I certainly had to let go of the PowerPoint docs. It also looks like as well being okay with like B+ work for a while, because your
Oh, what's
team,
the plus
well,
one?
like your team's not going to do it as well as you, right? You got
Yeah.
promoted because you're really good at doing a certain thing. You're really good at those bloody PowerPoint docs.
Yeah.
They're not going to be as good. And that's okay. Like that's B+ work where you go, okay, it's not quite how I would do it. And they're learning. And my role is to help them learn and to get better at it along the way.
Oh, you have to let them do the B+ work. That
Yeah,
is
you
oh,
do.
yeah,
I
it
think
must.
because you've got to build that capability in your team and come to realize, and I can't believe it took me 2 years to realize, like this poor team, your value isn't in knowing how to do the job. It's in helping other people learn how to do it well. That's the role
So
of the
true.
manager.
Oh, that's so good. And you just cemented the idea that I definitely do not want to be a manager. But I do think exactly what you said. It's such a stark difference between being just a manager and a leader. And a leader does take a lot of more responsibility.
Mm.
And if you are a good leader, you will have a team of people who want to be your friends, who want to see you outside of work if you guys go into different career paths. And that's when you know that you have been successful in your role. So I think similar to what we just discussed before the break, one of the hardest things about moving into a manager position is like what you said, Lisa, like doing the B work. So how do
Mm.
you letting your team do the B+ work? So how do you actually let go of everything so you can just lead?
You have to learn to ask better questions. So rather than jump in and be a fixer all the time,
Yeah.
which all that does is create this cycle of reliance of your team on you. So think about if we're working together in a team and to deliver a certain project, and every time you did something, I was like, oh, don't worry, I'll just fix up that last part. You're just going to be
Yeah.
like, that's cool. I'm going to go to lunch now. You do it, right? That
Yeah,
doesn't
right.
work. So you've got to, what we're stepping you through here is like having that reset conversation, being really clear on those expectations, like who is doing what and when. And then rather than jumping into fix, like you don't have to have all the answers. You can learn to ask better questions.
Oh, like what?
So a couple of really powerful questions that I like that I always come back to, some of my background's in coaching, and it totally shifted my my approach as a manager once I learnt these skills. So a couple of good questions would be, what's the real challenge here for you, Em? Or what else could be true? This is a great one. If you're coming up with someone in your team who's always making assumptions around other people, you can ask them what else could be true. And for a second, they just step outside of like, oh, well, I was just going to blame Sophie for not delivering it. What else could actually be going on? The other one that I really like from an expectation point of view is like, what support do you need from me? Is it coaching, clarity, or just getting out of the way? So often we assume
Right.
that, like, again, the assumptions, we assume that, oh, you want me to fix this? No, not necessarily. I just wanted to like vent and get off my chest.
That also applies in real life. Like if a friend comes up to you with a problem, my go-to is like, do you want advice or do you want me to listen?
Yes, that's a great question, right? And you can use that as a manager. Now,
Yeah.
my other favourite question has two parts. It's a little bit of a trick question. So, say you're coming to me, and this happens all the time with if you're a manager, people will come up to you and go, oh, I'm having trouble with blah. Can you just, this is going on. Can you fix it? So you pause for a second. You're going to go, would you like some advice from me? And they're going to go, yeah, because
Yeah.
that's obviously why I'm telling you. And then you stop for a second, and this is really hard to do, but once you do it, it's good. And I will say to you, what do you think I'd say, Em? And so I'm not giving
You
the
say
answer.
that?
And then they go, oh, I think you'd say blah, or I could try blah, or actually maybe you'd say blah. I'm like, well, are those options that you could take? And they're like, yeah. Like, great. I haven't done anything apart from ask you questions to guide your thinking.
Wait, you've actually done that before?
Yeah, it works all the time. Even with people who know that I'm about to ask them that, and then they laugh at me and they go, I know what you're doing here. I'm like, that's okay, but can you answer the question? Like, well, you would say blah. And that is not to say that I think I have all the answers right. What I'm trying to do is instead of band-aiding everything, every single problem, because sometimes you feel like you're doing that as a manager and you're putting all these band-aids on a gaping wound, you're going, I'm going to pause for a minute. I'm going to ask you a question and see if you have the answer, because I believe that you do have the answers because you're a fully fledged adult. And off you go. Yeah. And then they've got so much ownership. We love our own answers. We've got ownership. We're going to do something about that, right? That's the power of good questions. Like through this coaching training I learned, it's all about shifting how the conversation goes. Because when you ask the right question, people don't just look to you for the answers. They start finding their own answers. And that is like the cherry on top.
Oh my God, that is so good. Maybe I should go back into management just so I can tell people that.
Asking
What do you think my
questions.
answer
Just walk around asking questions all day.
I love that. Oh God, that is so good.
When we talk about questions there, that is less about carrying everyone all the time, because I think, so many people see managers that are struggling and they're moving into this role and they feel overwhelmed or overworked. Being a manager is not about carrying everyone. Back to your mindset shift, right? This is more about creating space for them to step up, help them do some B+ work for a while that eventually becomes A+ work, and they're going to remember you as that great manager that you had in your career that really helped them learn, improve, grow, get the next role. How good's that?
So good. And it's so true. I also wanted to say that I learned quite quickly that when you become a manager and leader, and I have said this on the podcast before about a manager, but when you become in that like leadership role, you soon realize that the people you are leading think about you way more than you think about them. Like they will be playing like conversations in their heads. They will be like discussing over drinks with their friends on how they approach a promotion for you. And just
Yeah.
remember that every time they approach you, that it does take a lot, like not everyone, but for me
Courage.
personally, it takes a lot for me to actually go to my manager for a problem or an issue or help with something. Like it's something that would be building in my head for like weeks and weeks and weeks, because managers, as we said before, they don't just manage, but they also still have to do their other job. So
Yeah.
while they're doing that, they're like completely not thinking about you, whilst you're still like ruminating, going, I wonder what she'll think about this, or what she thinks of me
Yes.
when I did this and stuff. So just like take a moment whenever you get approached by your colleagues, just take a moment and just like remember that they have probably dissected every way this conversation could go before they've started talking to you.
I love that you brought that up, Em, because people just want time with their manager because they see that person is the one that is like advocating for them, supporting them, etc. Like, make space for them. That's all they want, to be heard.
Yes. They just want to be heard.
Just hear me. Just let me know what's going on.
Okay, before we wrap up, we have to do our traditional out, which
One
is
useful thing.
one useful thing. And Lisa, you always take this one because you always have the useful thing.
You could have the useful thing next time, Em. You've got a lot of useful things you've shared today. So if you're in a leadership role, and you've been feeling unsure, here's our one useful thing today that we want you to remember. You don't need to have all the answers, but you do need to be able to start a good conversation. So try asking your team things like, what does support look like from me right now? And what's one thing we could do differently to make this work better?
Yeah.
If you had just asked that one question, what's one thing we could do differently to make this work better? How good's that, right? Like, you're building trust straight away. You're making it a two-way dialogue. It's not me going, this is how it's going to work, Em. These questions do two things. They show you that you're listening, and they really open the door to this clarity without you having to control everything, because we've got to let go of some control here.
100%. And that, I feel like just remembering that one like initial meeting that you said of like, how can we work together? That just sets you up for the rest of your leadership journey. Like everything will just flow into place after that. So, oh my God, good luck
It's your
to all the new
anchor.
managers.
Yes.
So good.
Let's get them out of the I have to know everything trap, because we all go through that. Please don't let it last for 2 years like I did. Hopefully you can listen to this episode and then go, okay, I'm going to change it tomorrow. And then you can show up and just listen, clarify, and actually really support each other and have a good time doing it too.